Hello and welcome back to another video. If you're looking for recommendations on what manhwa to read, then here are some that I've read recently that might be of interest. Manhwa titles are timestamped in the video for your convenience. Our first manhwa to take a look at is Reborn as the Overpowered Genius Lord, a fantasy manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 59 on. Its main character is Agrik, a war orphan that found himself forced into the battlefield at a young age and staying there all his life. Right as he was about to make enough of a contribution to the conflict to land himself freedom, he found himself against an opponent that he had no chance against, specifically the Duke Thermian. As he closed his eyes, Agrik opened his eyes and found himself reincarnated as Dane Sogris, the son of a count in the enemy kingdom from his first life. With conflicting feelings, he wants to enjoy the precious life that he's been now given with a family that actually cares for him instead of being an orphan. It's initially explained though that the father is a spearman, the mother an assassin, and the sisters a mage in summer. Time for an overpowered fantasy story to begin. The story is 8 out of 10. What starts off as almost a slice of life growth story of the most overpowered being actually gives itself some room to grow considering the history of the world that Dave lives in. There is clearly some explanation for things, but we'll just have to wait and see what's in store. The characters are 8 out of 10 as well. A caring family is something that Dane isn't accustomed to and therefore takes some time for him to truly be okay with the current state of things. After some time skips here and there, we see him actually come to accept and now lives a life in the academy that his sisters also went through. The art is 7 out of 10. Overpowered fantasy action in a school setting is definitely a mouthful. What's even more is spearmanship, assassin, summoner, and mage all in the hands of one person. With no direction in particular at the moment, enjoy a more laid-back style as Dane attends the academy, but with some room to actually expand the world further. So if you enjoy overpowered fantasy manhwas where the main character reincarnates in the same world, like that of a reincarnation of the Swordmaster from my previous videos, then fans of the genre would have their interest piqued by Reborn as the Overpowered Genius Lord. This next manhwa to take a look at is My Daddy Hid His Power, a reincarnation manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 53 on. The protagonist of this tale is Lilith Rubinstein, an individual who found herself reincarnated into a novel that she once read in her previous life. Initially, she thought that she was just living in the world as a random extra out in the countryside, and so is quite laid back and happy living this second life with her dad. Through some events that cause some initial harm, it's revealed that her father isn't some nobody, but is actually the strongest person in the world and the adoptive father of the protagonist from the original novel. Now, Lilith wants to ensure that the novel gets the proper happy ending that it had, but things of course will change as she evokes unintended butterfly effects on the world, of course. The story is 6 out of 10. Lilith living happily while initially ignorant of her father's past was an interesting introduction to the world. Although, once it switches to the more established trying to follow the events of the novel trope, it loses a bit of steam that it was just starting to build up, at least for me. The characters are 8 out of 10. The most powerful being in the fantasy world that is mostly apathetic, becoming the most doting father is quite the transformation and piqued my interest from that decent introduction. Now seeing the mystery of these characters like that of Lilith's mother and their past being revealed as the events play out is what's keeping me invested in the whole plot at this point. The art is also 8 out of 10. Considering that mystery, it doesn't come out through its art style. Instead, it's me reading into things. This mostly has the typical romance art style in a fantasy setting that has slight scenes of combat here and there due to the power levels of Lilith's closest family and companions. So if you enjoy romantic fantasy manhwas and wanted to add another to the list of ever-growing amount of them, then fans of the genre should at least take a look at My Daddy Hid His Power. Villainess Streamer is the name of our next manhwa to take a look at. It's a drama manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 39 on. Shin Ji-woo is the name of its main character. Living in modern-day Korea, Ji-woo has the occupation of a game developer, specifically of making a RPG romance game that has a detailed world from its characters, environment, and the like. While not the only person who's worked on it, she spent countless hours trying to improve it. One day though, she faints and finds herself confronted by a stranger who introduces himself as Oswald. After this particularly interesting interaction, Jiu finds herself to be in the world of the game that she made, but as the villainess Therese. Now stuck to broadcast her options and actions to unknown gods or constellations, will Jiu be able to survive? The story is 8 out of 10. Game developer getting sucked into their own romance RPG game is an amusing twist on the normal genre. The fact that both the readers and Therese get to see Oswald immediately also begs multiple questions, of course, which we don't get answers to right away. For now, we'll just have to be patient and wait, but things are already getting interesting in this particular game world. The characters are also 8 out of 10. Considering Oswald's role, Jiu, or Therese, being observed by multiple viewers very much reminds me of another quite popular manhwa that has a similar aesthetic to it, at least for right now. Therese will need to navigate through the various relationships and find a way to survive without being the original villainess that she was intended to be. The art is 9 out of 10. From the get-go, the presentation of Oswald and the overall art that this manhwa is able to portray had my attention. As the manhwa title suggests, considering it's a real-life stream but of a game made by the developer, there's surely a lot of things to expect moving forward. So if you enjoy Omniscient Reader from my previous videos and wanted a drama romance spin on its concept instead, then Villainess Streamer has some promise that could be quite intriguing if given the chance. Our shorter story for this week is the S-Class Hunter Who Heals Monsters, a modern manhwa that I've read up to chapter 14 on. The focus of this plot is on Chun Do-woon, introduced to us initially as Chimera Hunter number 17. Chun Do-woon was subjected to multiple experiments before becoming what in his modern fantasy world is known as a Chimera Hunter, a manufactured hunter who is injected with strains or DNA of monsters to become controllable beasts that aid normally awakened hunters in protecting them. Do-woon, in particular, was very resilient to the experiments and had a multitude of strands mixed into his body. After living this way for quite some time, he ends up being thrown away after being utilized to the max and is finally able to close his eyes and rest. Or, that's what he thought. He awakens but in the human body once more in the demon realm, or the realm inside of the dungeon portals. Now, it's just time to sit back and relax, hopefully. The potential is 8 out of 10. Overpowered slice of life is definitely a genre that piques my interest lately, and this one gives off an impression that will be trending towards more of that slice of life with occasional issues that are immediately rectified by Do-woon's power. The art is 7 out of 10. Considering all Do-woon has ever known in his life is being a Chimera Hunter, he has to learn things from scratch, and it's actually to the point of being funny. This is in contrast to the very high-level monster DNA that he has that is somehow usable and suitable as a Deus Ex Machina of sorts as well. So if you think that the overpoweredness from the delivery man from Martial World and the slice of life of peaceful camping life in another world from my previous videos are a decent mix to put together, then the S-Class Hunter Who Heals Monsters is something that you just might enjoy. Welcome to the highlight portion of today's video. Our highlight today is Black Corporation Joseon, which I've now read up to chapter 112 on. Info card description will have links to my original opinion. Yi Hyang, the firstborn son and crown prince of King Sejong's reign, is our protagonist. He was originally an eccentric inventor in modern-day Korea with the name of Kim Jin-ho, but he's now living this second life in the Joseon dynasty. And considering where the initial direction was from my previous video, it's a good indicator of where it went now. The focus has very much been on the politics, but in various different ways. From the military applications that Yi Hyang started to increase the defense of the Joseon borders, like increased weaponry, but also the social and economic ones are being unfolded slowly yet surely. These include things like a fire department to shipbuilding to enhance trade with other nations. It gives off the impression of how slow changes at the government levels actually do take, especially if you want to take a careful approach that doesn't ruin people's lives. My previous scores for this manhwa were 7 out of 10 for art and 8 out of 10 for characters and story. The art goes up 1 point to 8 out of 10 as the political atmosphere and the amount of work required to get any of these changes that both King Sejong and Yi Hyang want are truly shown. Everyone is exhausted, it's all expensive, and the political climate of the world is a little dicey for Joseon. Which is a good way to start talking about the characters as it stays at 8 out of 10. Honestly, the characters are not really developed more, but rather tools to move forward the society and well-being of the Joseon country as a whole. Certain characters are introduced then live quietly afterwards, used merely as a vehicle to display the next round of innovation from this Joseon society. The story, though, goes up to 9 out of 10, as for a title that deals with the alternate history that it provides, it definitely keeps you on your toes. It goes through multiple different arcs at the same time, and for each of them is Yi-hyung's endeavors or other trouble for the country. But it's able to keep things easy to approach and reminds you with every event that occurs, and so you don't get confused when going through multiple chapters. So if you enjoy historical manhwas and haven't had a chance to check out Black Corporation Joseon before, I highly recommend it, as fans of the genre would certainly get a kick out of the Joseon dynasty period depicted. Would you agree, or would you not? Comment down below your thoughts on Black Corporation Joseon. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Write down in the comment section down below what manhwa you've been reading and I might just take a look. Till next time though, have a good read.